Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it is a bird. It's the Quirky Bird Show with your host, Robin Savage.
Alrighty, hi everyone. Welcome to the Quirky Bird Show, where we talk about all things quirky in the world of the comedic art. Today we have a very special episode and a very special guest. This is like the after-school episode, and a very special Quirky Bird. We, for those of you who follow the show, it's a brand new time. It's 7:30. The family hour, so I decided to make the first one. I'm talking about blue comedy, dirty comedy. And one of my very favorite blue comedians is joining me, Miss Aniria. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, it should be a good time. The studio is actually so calm today. Usually it's crazy. So
good.
I always open the start of my show with the quirky question of the day, kind of chum the waters, get people's feedback out there. And my quirky question of the day, if I can find it, is why is blue dirty comedy? For those of you who don't know what blue means, it's another word for dirty. Why is blue comedy so popular? And since you're my guest, you can answer the first one to answer the quirky question of the day.
I would have to say that I think it's popular because you know, when you go through your everyday life, and especially if you're a parent and you have kids and you have a job, you know, like a decent job, like not like a stripper job, you know, you have to act a certain way, you have to speak a certain way, you have to be professional, and I think that people want to have a good time. Sometimes they just kind of let their hair down, and you know, everybody has I think that everybody has the thoughts that sometimes comedians think about, whether it's inappropriate or fun or whatever. But, you know, you don't really talk about it. You just kind of, you know, think it and giggle to yourself. So it kind of I think it's a way of letting your hair down.
So you think blue comedy is kind of a stress relief from the politically correct world? Because I know your day job is corporate America. And so you can't say the dirty things that come to your mind in your 8 to 5.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a stress relief. I think it's a way to just kind of kick back, and you know, everybody has opinions.
Absolutely.
And some of those opinions are less favorable than others. And now, you know, with the political environment, you know, I'm sure that there's a lot of dirty things that are thought and not said, but yeah, definitely a stress reliever.
Let me just read what some of the other folks have wrote. David Al-Balafia. I always give a shout out to the folks who answer the quickie question of the day.
Awesome.
David said, blue comedy is popular because it breaks the taboo that we impose on ourselves. Kind of exactly what you were saying, that bad language is inappropriate. The problem with blue comedy is that it's past the tipping point. Okay. It's one thing to use 4-letter words to make a point. Admittedly, there are certain times when the F-bomb is truly the only word that can encapsulate, he uses big words, David.
Yeah.
Can encapsulate a mood or a feeling. I try to work clean, but I do have one joke where the F word is called for because it's the right word for that particular joke. But there are too many comedians, included such popular comedians as Chris Rock, David Tell, Patton Oswalt, who litter their language with dirty words because they can. It adds nothing to their humor, but it's just as funny with far less profanity. The masters include Carlin, Hackett, Pryor. They knew how to use 4-letter words to emphasize what they were saying without making them their reason for speaking. He does bring up a good point. I mean, there are some comedians out there that every other word is the F word. I mean, I'm not a prude, and my comedy generally tends to be cleaner, but I think that sort of, for me, it's harder for me to write dirty stuff because I think I'm sort of weird and nerdy, so that stuff just doesn't come out of me.
Yeah.
But I kind of do understand. I've seen it before where it's just, you know, blankety 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 blank, where you're not using it like you said to make a point. It's the whole shebang.
I agree. It's almost like when you hear a teenager say "like" all the time, you know. Sometimes those comics, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I use the F word. I don't use it every other word, but I have seen comics where it is the way that David, right? That was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Describe it, and it just kind of reminds you of like the teenagers that say like like, you know, everything's like.
It is. It is. Actually, I'm laughing because I look back at my show and I notice I do that. I do the likes and the owns.
I'm sorry.
No, you made me more conscious of it. Some of the very etiquette. If anyone wants to join the conversation, it's 727-597-4022. If you have any questions, comments about blue comedy and the popularity of blue comedy. Michael Freed, you know Michael Freed. He's the part of Smart Comedy Support Group.
Yes.
Also, before we go on, I just want to remind everybody that today's Quirky Bird Show is brought to you by www.mydwiclass.com. Also, www.argonsoftware.com. I guess I don't really have to say the www. I mean, this is 2012.
Yeah.
Also, cupidschatton.com.
Chat den.
Cupid's Chatting.
Wow.
I thought it was like German SH. Cupidschatting.com. I'm assuming Cupid's Chatting is a dating website.
That was the quirkiest thing that's happened all day.
Okay.
We just finished their commercial, actually.
Oh, okay. Is it a website? Or, I mean, a dating service?
It's actually a dating service.
Okay.
Cupid's Chat Den.
Oh, Cupid's Chat Den.
Yeah, that's like
CupidsChatDen.com.
Oh.
You know, that's got like a little bit of lovey-dovey with a den.
I was going to say, I'm thinking more of like 1970s den with shag carpet.
I was
Cup
thinking-
IDS Chat Den. Cup is the chat den. I don't know.
Cupid's Chat.
I don't speak
Cup
French.
ID's Chat Den. Well, I'm thinking den, like, you know, where they torture people.
Oh, okay. Like
I don't know.
That's why I narrated the blue comic.
My mind.
I'm thinking 1970s. It's not really a TV room, but it's not really a
The
living room.
Brady's
It's the den.
den.
Yeah. You think of whips and chains.
Yeah.
Just a couple more. Michael Freed, his answer to the quirky question of the day is, I think that type of comedy makes people feel better about themselves. No matter how poor, stupid, or sexually frustrated you are, at least it's not that bad.
That's funny.
And my friend Alvin, I know you're out there. If you want to chime in, Alvin, it's 727-597-4022, because I am extremely smart. I wrote the wrong number on there. I wrote 598. So it's 727-597-4022. Now, you've pretty much your whole comedy career have been blue. I know you have some clean parts and you try to interject it, but in general, kind of you started out being blue, correct?
Actually, not really. When I started comedy, I was a clean comic. I was married. I was nervous.
Uh-huh.
You know, like hopefully every other comedian. I don't know. Some of them seem kind of, more confident. But, and all my material was very based around, being married and a lot of, I'm Puerto Rican, Salvadorian, and my ex-husband, he's, Caucasian. He's a redhead. So a lot of the comedy centered around just that, the differences in culture. So I was clean.
He's a redneck and redhead.
Yeah, he's both. And from New York, I guess. I don't know. But so I started out clean, and I got out of comedy 3 months into it because I got pregnant with my daughter. And when I went back, I don't know what spurred it, but I started writing more dirty things. By then, by the time I got back, I was also going through the divorce. So there was a lot of, I think, kind of like, now I can be, I hate to say it, but who I am, as far as I don't have to, act a certain way because I'm a married woman type of, I guess that was my mentality back then.
So you thought like more of your position in society and the way that either other people saw you or you perceived other people to see you, thought that kind of determined how you should act on stage.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think I might have had one or two, PG jokes. And then when I started writing the dirty material, Pretty Paul, who I know you're going to have call in, he's my mentor, and that makes my mom happy. So he sat with me and we put a set together and I got to do a spot, believe it or not, in Zephyr Hills somewhere.
Oh, wow. They must really like half Puerto Rican, half Salvadorian.
Yeah, they loved it. They loved it. They're like, isn't she Mexican? I'm like, no.
It's all
Yeah, whatever. Like Dora, And excuse me. And so when I did the set, Paul asked me how I felt, and I said, that was so much easier. And I couldn't understand. And he's like, well, that's because that's probably more of who you really are.
Okay.
And I said, I guess so. So then I just kind of rolled from there. And, I think that I grew up in a very conservative household. Both of my parents were college professors.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's a big advocate here not here, but in Hillsborough County. She's very well known. But on my dad's side, even though he was a college professor, his family they were actually kind of, they were very free in the way they spoke.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of cussing and things like that. And so, as you start writing and some of that stuff kind of comes out like, oh, man, I remember when so-and-so, oh, you know what? That was kind of inappropriate for me to listen to at that age.
Maybe I should have been listening to that.
Yeah. You really don't. At that moment, you're in your family environment. You think it's normal, but then have your own kids, and you see how my mother was so different from that I'm like, oh, no wonder I think the way I do.
Now, is it hard to switch gears? I know as a comedian, I mean, and like I say, I predominantly work clean, but you're in situations where I've been at the 10 o'clock, second shows, and I know just in my soul, they do not want to hear clean comedy. And I know you've been in the situations, we've been in a lot of shows together where you have like the VFW halls or the American Legion halls, and they're like, you need to, you need to do it. So how is that to be kind of a predominantly blue comic and to try to switch your gears and switch your material to be family friendly or clean?
I think at the beginning it was really hard because it was something that, when you and I were working together with the Funny Divas, we did such a variety of venues
Mm-hmm.
that kind of forced me to adjust my material. It was hard at first, but now it's, I think with the years and having to do it, I've come up with material, some writing that is, I never really do I might have 3 G-rated jokes.
It's hard to do G-rated.
Yeah, G-rated, but I developed a lot of PG-13 material. And I think, advice from other comics, including yourself, just substituting certain words or maybe not saying the word or just alluding to a certain action or word or whatever. But I've gotten enough material, I think, that, I'm confident I could do some, at least maybe 15, 20-minute set.
Mm-hmm.
That's PG-13. I think it kind of made me observe other things, mainly with my kids, because a lot of my, PG-13
revolves around your children.
Revolves around my kids, but then my kids, again, they live with me, so they kind of have my influence. So it's one of those, they're not as innocent as most kids, you know what I mean? It's like the other day, I don't remember where I was, but my daughter was with me, and I said, and I let a cuss word slip out, and I said, oh, I'm sorry. And God, she threw me under the bus because she was the only child there. And she's like, what are you apologizing for? You say that all the time. And I'm like, man, I can't even pretend in front of this person that doesn't know me that well.
You're like, shut up. Oh, mommy accidentally said a swear word.
Yeah, that doesn't work with my kids. They'll throw me under the bus.
Now, who are some of your favorite comedians, like as far as who influences you?
Oh, kind of variety, really. I love Bill Burr.
Mm-hmm.
I love Doug Stanhope.
Okay.
And Doug Stanhope, what I love about Bill Burr is that, he can go on these little rants, and I love it, especially when he talks about corporate America. And Doug Stanhope, well, he's just all over the place. There are no boundaries for that man. And I love that about him because I think that it takes a lot of guts, because he touches on everything from political views that are not popular, to just the views on anything, on a commercial, for example. I really do enjoy Carol Burnett was one of the
loved her.
Yeah, she was one of the first exposures. The Carol Burnett show was the first, I think, comedy that I really got to, that I was exposed to, because my parents moved to Gainesville from El Salvador. And I know.
That's the obvious. Gainesville, El Salvador.
That was a comedy in itself. And so they were college students, so they always watched Carol Burnett. I don't even know if they understood everything that was going on here, because there's a lot of cultural things.
Why does she wiggle the ear? That was French. That wasn't even Spanish.
That was a good try, though. But so Carol Burnett, is somebody that I really enjoy. Phyllis Diller too. I really enjoy. And Joan Rivers. Then and now. I mean, I saw her live this year, and I was just so impressed because she's one of those comedians that has kind of moved with the times. There's a lot of comedians that are her age, if they're still alive, that when they do their stand up, their points of view are still from back then, and it makes it a little bit difficult. But Joan, well, I don't watch her show. I guess she's got a show with her daughter or whatever, but I don't watch. She has some TV show.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
But I've never seen it. I've just seen her stand up. But she's just kind of modernized herself. She's kind of reinvented herself, and at her age, she was throwing herself on the ground, pretending to have sex. I was like, I couldn't even get up, and I'm 42. So I admire her a lot. A lot.
No. As a blue comedian, a lot of the comedy has come under fire lately. I know Tosh, Tracy Morgan, and it's not so much the dirty comedy. It's talking about taboo subjects that, and you were talking about living in a politically correct world, that in your 8 to 5, in your circle of friends, you really can't say it in society, and they're on stage and saying it out there. I mean, where do you think of like the Tosh and the Tracy Morgans and the?
I like Daniel Tosh when he does stand up. I'm not a fan of the show. Mm-hmm. First of all, I don't like Pain, and I think he takes some things, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, like the whole him being gay thing. It's like, okay, already, it's like every episode he's gonna top how he's gonna show how gay, But when he started out and he was doing his stand up, and I guess he still does his stand up, he's really good. I mean, I like him. Taboo subjects. I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't really seen much of Tracy Morgan.
Oh, Tracy Morgan. Well, Daniel Tosh made fun of rape, and Tracy Morgan made fun of gay people, and we all know what Michael Richards did. But there is kind of a backlash, or not a backlash, but what am I trying to say? Like an undercurrent of comedians saying, you know what, we're comedians and we can say absolutely whatever we want because we're the barometer of society. Like you can't muzzle a comedian.
Yeah, I think to some extent, God, that's the hard one, because to some extent, like I know what I feel comfortable talking about. And there are things that maybe I myself don't want to talk about, like I don't want to do jokes about, let's say, abortion or whatever.
Okay.
I think God, that's just a tough one. I think it's, I think it is, I think, yes, that you should be able to say what you want to say. But I think it's tough. I think it's tough, walking the line of, are you being mean to be mean, or are you being funny? It's just really hard. I mean, what do you think?
It's hard. Like with the whole Daniel Tosh rape thing, as a woman, I was pretty much offended. Another mutual friend of ours, Long Island Mary, and I, we do a benefit every year for the Tampa Crisis Center, and it's about people of, I don't even think you're supposed to call them victims anymore, but survivors of rape and just horrible things that happen. So I see the real side, I see the human side, but then as an artist, I think we're in a really slippery slope where we muzzle anyone. We say you can't make fun of this or you make fun of that, because even though it's a horrible subject to talk about, the whole freedom of speech and being able to express yourself, I don't know. It's kind of like the Muslims who are throwing things and burning because they don't like a movie. Well, I'm sorry you don't like a movie, but that's freedom of speech. You take the good with the bad.
It's like an expression of it's in an art form.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't like anything that Daniel Tosh had said about the whole rape joke and like getting people to like yelling at that woman like people need to rape her. Like I didn't like that on any level, but on the same token, I do understand the undercurrent of, you know what, we live in a free society, and good, bad, or indifferent, that's part of what a free society means. So, okay, we're going to have Allison Johnson. Allison Johnson, you know Allison Johnson very well.
We did that show with her.
I was going to say, I have a once-a-month room, and you helped me book her. What was the name of that show?
My Blue Valentine.
My Blue Valentine.
It was on Valentine's Day or near there.
It was on Valentine's Day, and you came to the Chase Club. You brought Mona and Allison Johnson. She's actually going to be at the Straz Center here in Tampa on Saturday.
Awesome.
And yeah, I thought that was a very clever show because a lot of people want to be like, oh, kissy, kissy, kissy on Valentine's Day. But if you're going to a comedy show, you're a little jaded anyway.
Yeah,
So.
they sure got hit hard.
But yeah, we'll talk to her. I think they're calling her up now. Oh, okay. He's in there calling her now. So,
Awesome.
Do you have any? I know you and I have a show coming up at Kickin' Wings in Hudson, Florida.
Friday.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a good show.
it's a late show, so I might bring a little bit of my dirty stuff out.
Yeah, it
Cha-cha
starts
around.
at 10. Yeah, I got my brother's gonna be there.
Oh, your brother's going to be there.
Yeah, he's bringing
Okay.
people from work, so I don't know if they'll keep him out of the job now after that night. And then his family's coming. He lives out in that area,
Okay.
so his wife's family will be coming out. Should be
Okay,
fun.
so-
They're a lot of fun.
Okay, so you got people coming to the show.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Okay.
And I've never seen Graham Rich, so
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Grandma Rich is going to be there too.
Yeah.
I believe we have our next guest on the show, Allison Johnson. Are you there?
I'm here. The Bad Goat Comedy. I'm here. How you doing, Robin?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I had a flood at my house, but this about blue comedy. You don't want me to start cursing about it.
You can curse. I don't think the internet or the FCC regulates the internet. So Allison,
Yes. Oh.
how did you start not only in comedy, but how did you start in blue comedy?
It was, this is going to sound crazy, but when I first started out doing comedy, I was angry at my husband all the time. So I did a lot of, angry husband jokes,
Mm-hmm.
and it just came natural. And because in my regular life, I don't even really curse that much. I don't curse a lot, or I'm not that person on stage, but when I talk about the world and in which we live, it turns me into a blue comic, okay?
Now, how long have you been doing comedy?
This is a crazy ride that I've been on because I was teaching school and somebody told me like everybody says that you should do comedy, and I did an open mic and in New York, and that was like 6 years ago, but I only did it like 4 times, and then someone saw me and asked me to do a little spoof on VH1, and I did that, and then I did, and then I started doing all the clubs out there, Gotham, Comedy Strip, and so it just happened for me. But then when I came out here, everything slowed down, and it was a different world, so I was kind of afraid. So, technically, I would say 3 years. I started 6 years ago and did a few shows, and it just happened for me, a little boost, and then I stopped, and then I came out here, and I've been doing it ever since. So I would say straight comedy for 3 years I've been doing it.
Now,
Straight.
didn't you have? I heard that you were doing like a Mom's Mabley tribute show.
Mm-hmm. I still do my one-woman show, and after I finish, because I'm booked for a lot of shows for September, and once I finish up with September, I'm going to go back to doing my Mom's Mabley show. But I'm going to be in Tampa
Yes.
at the Straz Theater on September 22nd. This Saturday at 9 p.m. So, yeah, everybody got to come out and see me and hear my nasty mouth.
Yeah, we
And
love it.
is that you, Valeria?
That's me. Hey.
Hey, Mama Sita, how you doing?
Good. I'm so happy that you're gonna have that show out here in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going to be there, and I'm very excited about it. Rainey called me, and I was right on board. I'm ready to do Tampa again. I love that place.
Yeah, we got to do something else again.
Yeah, we do. We do. We have, and for women, we have to. This is it's a doggy dog world even for men in comedy, but for women it's like, especially if you have a dirty mouth, they just don't expect it. They expect you to come out and be all sweet and tell jokes about your children, and all that kind of
That's what I love about it. It just catches people off guard. I remember I did a show at the Tampa Improv, and this guy, he was from Sefner, actually. He's a jeweler in Sefner. He's like, you came on stage with those chubby cheeks looking all innocent, and then you open up your mouth, and I was like, what the hell?
But you do look sweet. You even shocked me, and I'm hard to shock. Okay, so you do have a sweet look about you, so that makes it even more marketable.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It was a good time, though. That was a good show.
What amazes me, Allison, is I've only really met you in person twice. The first time I met you was in Orlando at Sleuths, and then you came to Chase down here with us.
Right.
I only know like the dirty kind of the raspy gal comic. I cannot imagine you teaching school. I mean, I can't imagine you teaching school. What grade did you teach?
I taught preschool.
Oh, no.
That even makes me laugh. I mean,
Lord, she's
I taught
dating some of those kids
preschool,
now.
and I definitely miss it. I do. I really do. I love children, and I only have one child myself, but I was going to go into nursing at first, and I really suck at it. And to be a nurse, you have to be relatively, decent in math. So I went in, and I love children. So yeah, I was a preschool teacher for 15 years, and I trained teachers for 5 years. And I kept their little asses in timeout all the time. So
I
For cursing.
yeah, I used to take drinks in my break. I did. I'm not lying about that. But you have to in this New York school system.
Oh, yeah. So. I can imagine.
Yeah, it was dangerous, and I was in the hood too. I mean.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you tell a person. Sometimes, Robin, I would tell in an area. I would tell like a parent, your child can't come on a school trip because lots of time we didn't have yellow buses. We don't in New York. It's not like yellow buses are everywhere. So we take the kids on the train. And if your kid is not listening in class, I would tell the parent, well, they weren't listening. They won't be able to go on the trip. They'd be like, you no good bitch. I mean, almost getting fights with me. It was dangerous. Almost teaching in New York.
I couldn't imagine taking my own children on a train in New York, much less like a gaggle of children. You mean like on the subway? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, on the subway. Sometimes 33 children, and I mean, I only have one assistant. So can you imagine the ones who don't listen? They're not coming with me.
They're
and then, the parents doesn't want to keep them home because they don't listen. What the hell?
Yeah, that's got to be, I can't even imagine. That's, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So, girl, don't you know I'd rather be in a club with some Grey Goose and a microphone and a stage and some fine men any day over a classroom with some snot nose.
That does sound like
Play-Doh eating children.
Now, when you said you first started comedy, you were going through a divorce, you were in a rocky marriage. What like when you write your newer material, what kind of stuff do you reflect on for the stuff that you compose now?
Well, I'm still going through my divorce. It's a never-ending. It's never ending. So but for now, right now, I deal with a lot of whatever hits me, like we have the Romney and Obama now, so I got to talk about that. And I talk a lot about race because Paul Mooney, I mean, he's like one of my idols. And I'm not mean like he is, but I do, talk a lot about race and the differences and our behavior. And, I'm one of those comics that talk a lot about that and women and how I need some sex, and so whatever hits me,
It's always a
like if
good
I ain't had no sex in a long time, that's what I'm gonna be talking about for at least 5 minutes.
But I think it goes back to kind of what Aneri and I were talking about. I mean, you have to be genuine and true to yourself. And so if you're a black woman going through a divorce and dealing with being in a predominantly male-dominated world like comedy, I mean, that's who you are, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's for real. And, I've tried to, like, sit down and say, I'm going to write about this. But for me, the process doesn't work like that. For me, it's got to be something I see, or something that upset me. I know I always talk about the dollar store joke and my credit. And these are things that really happen, to me. I don't have great credit, and people aggravate me in the dollar store. And, if for me, if I try to force it, it won't be funny. It has to be something, and somebody stops and they go, Allison, that's funny. And boy, I started putting on the recorder on my Droid phone, and I started just recording. So
yeah, speaking of credit, and I was talking, and I'm gonna have to write something about that, because I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling him how I had just gotten off the phone with my ex-husband, who, again, he's like a redhead white dude, and he remarried a white girl, and I had just gotten a call that they're moving again, and it's like the third time that they're moving, and I know they've got like really bad credit. And so I was telling my friend, I'm like, when I met him, he had crappy credit, and he married me, and I cleaned him up. And when the hell do you hear about a Salvadorian improving a white guy's credit? And I'm like, that's just crazy. But it's the truth, and that's like what you were saying, your truth,
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. You gotta keep it real, and for me, it's like I've tried to force a joke and it doesn't work for me. It's not funny for me, so it has to be the way. But life is so funny every day.
Yeah,
it's not hard to come up with material,
No, it's not. I think as a comic, we see things a little bit different, like I can't go to a funeral and be serious. It's hard for me. And that, my mom, sometimes I know she wants to hit me at funerals because you always, and it's not that you're not disrespecting, but you always see somebody doing something weird,
or you just see through the whole. I have trouble with ceremonies in general because you see through the whole facade of like, why we're just people. Why are we being ceremonious?
Well, yeah. What is that? Who are we doing this for again? You're right. You're right.
You are right. I was telling somebody about when my nana passed. I was really upset and everything. But now when I think of it, I look back and I think of the funeral. My brother, he was videotaping a funeral. Like you videotape a wedding. I've never seen it done before.
Lord.
I was like, this fool is literally, and I tripped over him. And I practically fell in the casket. Now, when it happened, it wasn't funny. But now when I think about it, now anytime I go to a funeral, like that crosses my mind.
Oh, my God.
And I'll think, and it'll be funny, and I'll think to myself, this is wrong. But then I'll think again, that person who knows me, even though they're dead, their spirit is out there. Their spirit isn't dead. And they're thinking, I know Allison's thinking in her head about when her brother tripped her into her nana's casket, So any part of life can be, And Lord knows that's some blue comedy because I cursed him out terribly at that funeral.
I bet you did.
But if you're not getting cursed out, you're not at a black funeral. You gotta. You're not. You're in the wrong funeral.
That's funny.
I'll tell you what, Allison, we got our next caller calling in at 805. Thank you so much. Tell everyone where they can see you, Facebook page, website, upcoming shows, anything you can do to plug yourself.
Oh, Lord, here we go. So this Saturday, I'm going to be at, I want to pronounce this right. It is the Straz Theater, right?
The Straz, yes.
Straz Theater in Tampa. And try to get there, not at CP time, on time, at 9 p.m. The show starts at 9 p.m. Okay, you can go on Facebook and you can look for Allison Johnson Comic, or go to the Strass Theater, www.strasstheater.com, and I'm sure you can find out the information there. But I will be there this Saturday, and also who's that? What's that? Rose? What's Mary? My girl.
Oh, Long Island Mary.
Yeah, it's going to be there. Duncan Jay Duncan, and another
Tony God.
fella. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony. That's going to be. There's nothing
we
you
don't
guys have in
focus
common.
on me, and I'm going. I'll be there at 9.
I saw that.
And
And
then,
I'm like, you have nothing in common with any of the other people.
no, I don't. That's why it's going to
show.
be so much fun.
Oh.
It's so diverse, that show. So
Oh, yeah.
anybody who's listening in earshot of this, try to come out to see that. And I'll be in Orlando on the 28th. Just hit me up on my YouTube. You can go to Allison Johnson Comic, and I every week tell where I'm going to be at. So that's Allison Johnson Comic.
Okay.
On YouTube, okay, and then separate words. So Allison Johnson Comic or Allison Johnson Comedy. You'll find an update of me, or www.Allison Johnson Entertainment, and you'll find out where I'm going to be. And or you just try to Facebook friend me. Be my friend on Facebook at Allison Johnson Comic.
Okay.
And you'll hear the whole rundown, because I don't have my calendar in front of me. And I'm finally busy again.
That's great.
Good.
That's fantastic. All right. Thank you very much, Allison. And I would love to work with you again one of these days down the road.
Yes, we got to do it. We have to do it.
Absolutely.
You know we're going to do it, Robin.
Absolutely.
I had a fun time the last time, so we'll
Yes,
make it
me
happen.
too.
We'll call it a
And
testimony.
Anaria, baby girl, you know I'm going to be calling you.
Okay, yeah, please do. Please do.
And now that I've talked to Robin again, now I'm going to harass you and call you too, Robin.
That is fine by me. You're very entertaining. So
I had an enjoyable time. And again, in October, my mom's Maybe show will be back out. So just hit me up at Allison Johnson Comedy on YouTube, and you'll
All
see
right.
my weekly rundown.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me, Robin.
Oh, no problem, Allison.
Okay, peace, y'all.
Okay,
Peace, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's funny. When I first saw that, I don't know if you've booked the Strass, and you should try. It's a really fun. It's not like the giant theater that they put Chris Rock in. It's one of the smaller black box theaters, but they're starting to do a monthly comedy show, and Rainey Lawrence books it.
Yeah.
And they're always quite diverse, but this has got to be the most diverse one. I mean, you've got Allison, who's very raunchy, Mary, who's very clean, Duncan, who's this kind of like this fast talking New York guy, and then Tony God, who's sort of the cerebral kind of Puerto Rican. And I was like, wow, people are going to get their money's worth when they go. It's not like a theme show, like,
That's
Girls Gone
cool.
Wild, or like,
Girls Gone Wild.
a BET show, or, you know what I mean? It's absolutely every type of comedian under the sun. They just threw them together.
That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be something for everybody then.
Yes, it will. It will. Yeah, it was a good time talking to Allison. I've never seen her Mom's Mabley show.
Not me either, but I
was
bet
gonna
it's
say,
good.
Yeah, I could see where she would be a kindred spirit with
Yeah, definitely.
with Mom's Mabley. Well, we got a few more minutes until Paul comes in and just explain.
Calls.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Calls.
Wow.
Jumbles in my
Or
mind
calls
together.
while he comes. Either way.
I think for Pretty Paul, that's pretty much mandatory.
I think so.
But
Poor Paul.
Paul's an interesting guy. He started comedy when he was he in his 60s?
I think 50s. He'll tell
50s.
us now. We'll have
Okay.
to ask him. We'll have to start with that.
Yeah. Okay. I think they got him on the line. They're going to be here. But yeah, he's a staple in the Tampa. He's a staple in the Tampa comedy parts, and he is bluer than blue could possibly be blue. Okay, I think we got him on the line. Paul, you there?
Yes, were you just talking about me?
We were talking about blue comedy, and so we thought we'd have a Disney comic such as yourself come in and talk about the other
Yes,
parts.
yes. Yeah, I just got off of a cruise with Disney Cruise Lines.
Yeah, right.
Entertaining in the Mickey outfit.
Yeah, I got to pass this on to you. I went out to L.A. A couple months ago out Hollywood, and got talking to. I flew out and I got talking to taking a bus back.
You took
Greyhound from Hollywood to Tampa, and somebody told me you get a lot of good material out of it. Well, I didn't get any material except for one thing. Before we got out of California, a fight broke out in the back of the bus, and this guy had been jacking off. And the guy next to him didn't appreciate it. And well, the only thing I could think of was Joe. I thought the lights were low enough that they couldn't see me. I got to tell him, is an area there?
I'm here. Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing much better now that I've been able to feast my ears on your loveliness. Whatever. This is radio, isn't it?
Now, Paul, I have a couple questions for you. How did you start comedy, and did you always work blue? Because I don't even think blue can explain your comedy. It's dark blue. It's almost purple.
I've straightened it up a little bit, though. I don't do the as much of the dead baby jokes and retard jokes and omni jokes. Well, that's being redundant, but and I've got a name for his entourage that travels with him. That's Romney's Noodles.
Romney's Noodles.
Because they've got all the intelligence of a box of pasta.
That's hilarious.
Now, how old were you when you started comedy? Because you almost have like a Rodney Dangerfield kind of story.
Yeah, well, I started 20 years ago. I was 51 when I started.
Okay.
And I'm 71 now.
And that's when you first walked into a mic. How did you muster up the courage to do that? And was your set list 20 years ago dirty, or was it topical? I mean,
it was not real dirty, because when I started out, I was just only doing open mics.
Mm-hmm.
So for a couple of years there, I didn't have but a few chances to do more than 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But no, I'd always wanted to. I knew I had a natural wit, and I always wanted to give it a shot, and I did. And I had stage fright. Oh my God, it was awful. But I wanted it enough. I just, like I tell all the beginners now, get on every damn stage you can get on.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first met you. You said that when you first started out, you even just read poems at a poetry open mic just to get your stage legs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Trying to get over the stage fright.
Are you over that now?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think so. One night there was a club out on Treasure Island for a while. A couple of guys ran it, and they would always let me do 5 minutes on Friday and 5 minutes on Saturday. And one night up on stage, it's like somebody threw a bucket of water on me. All that shit just went away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then I could really start concentrating on being funny.
I can remember the first time I had fun on stage, because it's always exhilarating. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. I think like once you have that first time where, holy cow, this is fun, you sort of, it's like you go to a next level.
Yeah, you do. I think.
Right, definitely.
When you're starting out, you're so, there's always stage fright when you're starting out.
Yeah.
And so, you got the dynamics of, am I going to remember what I'm going to say? Are they going to laugh? How do I, it's just so much that you have to think about that you do kind of get a little stiff. And then you're right. Then there's that one moment where it's like, Yeah, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, like,
You know.
oh my God, this is fun. I say stuff and they laugh.
Yeah.
Well, with me, it's I am so damn funny. So
Of course you are, Paul.
Oh,
Now, how did I don't think I've ever asked you this? How did you go by Pretty Paul Parsons? How did the pretty get added on? I mean, other than the obvious, you're a beautiful man.
yes. Well, there's other parts of me that are equally as beautiful
oh
too.
Lord have mercy.
Only the lucky get to see that.
Oh shit.
What were we talking about? I'm sorry.
How did you get the stage name of Pretty Paul Parsons?
Oh, the first time I got on stage was over in St. Pete at the old Coconuts, and the guy asked me if I wanted to say anything, and I had a business card and I wrote on the back of it the same thing I use today. He's weird and warped. He calls himself an alternative to entertainment and comedy from the dark side, and I just wrote down Pretty Paul Parsons, and I don't know why, but
Oh wow.
And it
always
just stuck?
used it.
I was gonna say it. I mean, it fits you. You have a stage persona where you always wear like a jumpsuit, like a workman's suit. How did that come about?
That night at Coconuts, the MC, and I wish I could remember who it was, he told me if I was going to do dark comedy, I was wearing a pair of slacks and a flowered shirt that somebody had given me. And he said, that doesn't fit. Don't be bright or anything. And I happen to have that pair. It's the same one I'm using today, 20 years later.
Wow.
I just started wearing that because that took away all color, all life. The entire act was on my face.
Well, and I think it makes you look like
A pervert.
Yeah, like the school janitor who's always lurking.
Mm-hmm.
Or it sort of makes you look like the creepy old guy. So I think it works perfect for you.
Definitely. And when I first started, Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs, hadn't been out too long, and there was a lot of references to that. Looked like Hannibal Lecter.
I was going to say, you're about, I don't know, you seem smaller. You seem like a miniature Hannibal Lecter. I mean, you're not as big in size.
He is wearing the same suit from 20 years ago.
Wait till you see me in the shower.
Oh, snap.
Why do I say these things in there? I walk right into it.
I know, right? You know, I was just sitting here thinking, oh, he's wearing the same suit from 20 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, let me try to put something on from 20 years ago. Oh, my God.
What was 20 years ago?
It's a belt now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That was my clubbing days.
Clubbing.
Michael Mack, you know him, don't you?
Michael Mack, yeah, I love Michael.
Yeah, he made that little doll for me. And my mother, when she was still alive at the time, and she sewed the little blue jumpsuit on it. And I always say that I'll be selling them after the show. What you do, you wind it up and it screws your dog.
It's always funny.
Missionary style.
Now, you brought an interesting point because blue comedians, I mean, that's sort of their persona on stage. But if you said that your mother was still around when you were doing comedy, and I know you have a daughter and a son, what's it like? And I can ask this question to you too. What's it like when your on-stage persona is really dirty, but you've got family members, mothers or children or someone coming in and watching you?
That's just the way it is. I was making jokes about my mother that 2 or 3 times she came to see me, and she kind of took it personal. I said, it's just jokes, you know. Didn't mean it, you know. I wasn't being mean to her. Right. Not where anybody could see, anyhow.
With a long sleeve where the bruises were covered.
But the one thing I did say is that my mother doesn't drive. I got to take her every damn where she wants to go. I got to put her in the trunk, take her back out of the trunk, put her back in the trunk, take her back.
That's funny.
But you didn't let that hinder you, like it wasn't in the back of your mind, like, oh, but you still went all the way with it, even though your mother was in the audience?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because at the time that was the stuff that was working, and I probably didn't have 10 minutes of material. So
it's not like you could have just done other jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, you run into that. You run into that.
And then
Go ahead.
what's that?
No. I was just gonna say that my mom, when I started doing the dirty comedy, she hated it. I mean, she came out for her birthday to my first paid gig, and she just and I made the mistake of catching a ride with her. And the whole ride home, she just told me how everybody did so well except me, and how why do you talk? It was awful. It was awful, and so then I'm like, man, I'm never inviting her back. And I don't know, somehow or another, all of a sudden, she found out I was getting paid to do it. And she's like at all the shows now.
I was gonna say your mother's she was on a lot of diva shows. I still see her around a lot.
She does, and she goes and like Paul says, it is what it is, and she's just have to accept it. But I remember having conversations with her, and finally one day, it changed. And I think we were talking on the phone, and she said, "I really like it when you write stuff about the kids," which I had written stuff, and she does really enjoy that. And then she said, "I just don't know why you have to do all that dirty, blah, blah, blah." It was the same, like a broken record. And I said, "Look, Mom, it's like this. God gave me this talent, and unfortunately, that's the way he gave it to me. Unfortunately for you, that's the way he gave it to me. So deal with it." I mean, so I don't know if it had to do because I said God, I don't know what, but ever since that day, she has not bothered me about it ever again,
That's an eloquent way of putting it. Like, this is my God-given talent, and I'm sorry, I have to say the F word in there. Talk about body parts.
Talk about getting laid, But it's tough. It was tough at first, but she's there now. I mean, she wears a shirt sometimes when we're out.
And she has seen my act.
Yeah. Oh, and she loves Paul. She doesn't give you crap, does she?
No, she's probably afraid to.
She probably is.
Now, Paul, have you, since you've been in comedy 20 years, have you noticed a difference, like in trends in comedy, or has comedy gotten cleaner? Has it gotten dirtier? Like, in your opinion, how has comedy differed in the last 20 years?
I really don't see a whole lot of difference. There's comics that work dirty and comics that don't, and basic rules still apply. And so the only thing we're missing, we haven't had a superstar.
What?
In comedy.
You don't think we've had
a
a
long
superstar?
time.
In a long time?
Yeah, I don't know. Louis C.K. is kind of, I think, the next, or the
Who?
Louis C.K. I would say if there was a superstar in comedy.
But I mean, he's not a Steve Martin or Richard Pryor or George Carlin. We don't have anybody that stands out.
I think more
like those guys did.
I think that sometimes could be attributed to the fact that there are a lot more people doing stand-up now than there were back then. So the competition
that's really true too, yeah.
And just media in general, I mean, it's instead of everything being mainstream, I think because you have the internet, you have like a lot of people sort of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was, I was telling Gary this years ago that, it's going to be changed because all of a sudden with the internet, you've got maybe 300 or 400 million people out there that are trying to be funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of them are, some stuff we see on there is hilarious.
Yeah.
But and that may be the way it's going to go too. I saw one of the funniest ones the other day. It was about 20 years old. It was a English couple and their 2 children, and they were on a camera safari in Africa.
Uh-huh.
And the husband father wanted to get closer pictures of the lions, and he got out of the car and the fucking lions ate him. Isn't that funny?
That's hilarious. I'm sure the children were just laughing. Well, Paul,
but that actually did happen.
Well, we have to wrap it up. We got the next show coming in. Take this opportunity to plug anything. Plug your Facebook, plug your website, where you're going to be, where they can find you.
Okay, I'm going to be doing a show in Tarpon Springs at the Zone on the 26th.
Okay.
And that's just a couple of weeks away. And then October 3rd, some slut I picked up on Nebraska Avenue opened for me at the Improv.
Oh, that's right. You guys got your
No.
improv show coming up. I forgot about that.
Mary and I will both be at the Improv on the 3rd of October, and come out and see how dirty we really are.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Paul. And as
Yeah.
always, you are entertaining and riveting as you are in person.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for doing the camera work on the porn film the other night.
Yeah, you needed to arch your back a little bit more. That's the only.
Oh, you mean you couldn't feel it?
Oh.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, no
All right.
problem, Paul.
Bye.
Bye.
All righty. I think we only have like a minute left. Anaria, this is your opportunity. Pimp anything you have. Your Facebook, your website. I know you got a Vixen show coming up.
Oh yeah, I got my regular website is aneriacomedydiva.com, and then I have a project that I'm working on with Susan Sager, called Vixen Comedy, and we are actually on October 19th and 20th at Jack's Joint. We're gonna do a little bit of sketch and stand up mixed together.
Very cool. Very cool.
So that's coming up on the 19th and the 20th, and you can see the details over at vixencomedy.com.
Okay, I think that's it. As always, thank you for watching the Quirky Bird Show, and I think that's it. You can lead us out. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for
Have a
having me.
neat time.
Thank you.